Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Podcasting Mastered. I'm Chelsea, and I'm here with Wade as always. And on this episode, we are going to be talking about the latest big blockbuster hit of the summer that has just come out, Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes.
Yes. But before we talk about that, we just wanted to quickly acknowledge that SAG is once again on strike, specifically the video game performers. You know, last year we also spoke out and discussed when the WGA and SAG, both their movie and TV actors, were on strike. And we just wanted to give a shout out to all the video game performers because honestly, video game performers are such an important part of video games. Like, they're probably one of the many reasons people fall in love with these characters. I mean, we wouldn't really have a podcast without the writers, performers, everything of all these things. These people are very important to entertainment that we can enjoy talking about. And they are once again also fighting, you know, proper wages with AI and video game performances. And this is something that's been a long time coming with them. They've been in, I think it was 18 months of negotiations, and they couldn't get anywhere with these big groups. And so we just wanted to basically speak out and just in solidarity with them. There's nothing like any restrictions, like we're not going to stop covering video games or anything. They encourage us to keep talking about them, keep talking about the people behind the games, the people who voice all these incredible characters.
And we're always here to support that. Like Chelsea said, both of us have lived our lives under the wings of such great video games, telling such amazing stories. And, you know, when we were little, we didn't have the convenience of voice acting. But nowadays, the voice acting can stick into your heart just as much as any of the music or gameplay. So we want to make sure that those kinds of things, they last and are not just kind of crowdsourced out to AI. We want people to be able to do the jobs they want to do, get paid fairly for them, but also be protected against things like that might come in, you know, studios trying to use what they can to save some pennies.
Exactly. And so we just wanted to do a side mention on that because that did just recently happen where they went on strike. But now, yes, we can move on to our discussion for the episode today. And I think Deadpool honestly would have enjoyed our little side tangent for the moment, which is important.
Deadpool would absolutely support that.
Oh, yes. So. Yes, for sure. But yes, we are talking about the latest Marvel film, Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, this movie, it's kind of been a long time coming, it seems, but it's like it finally came out, finally here. We both have watched it. We could not talk about this soon enough. And listeners, obviously this episode is going to dive into a lot of spoilers, a lot of spoilers. Yes.
If you haven't watched it, do not listen to this episode yet. You do not want this movie spoiled by us.
Yeah.
Go
but
watch
if you
the
like
movie
spoilers,
and then come back.
No. Exactly. Yes, but just, major warning up front. We are covering as much as we can, as much as we can remember.
You can't
to
talk about this movie without talking about spoilers. Like,
no.
There isn't anything in this movie that's not a spoiler. Unless it's like
true.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, congrats. You know they're in it. Everything else, though, like, is absolute spoiler territory.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the broad overview of spoilers, kind of a little bit of side tangent with that, is that how much did you try to look at spoilers for this movie before going to see it?
Not at all. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I was a little curious at first, and I had read some things months and months ago, and those were only
there's been
spoilers.
All sorts of rumors that have been. But I don't think any of them were right. I don't think I saw, nothing, I didn't see anything in the movie that was like, oh my god, I heard about this. I don't think there was anything like that I came across.
Okay. There was one specifically, but I was just more yes, I'm so excited to see this person back in action. And that, well, since we already said there were warning spoilers, it was about Jennifer Gardner was going to come back and play Elektra. And I was like, I don't know what that means for this, but listeners, we will get to that later. But I was like, that's great. I'm just curious what else is to come. But I'm like, no, it's so close to when this movie released. I was like, no, I can't do it. I want to go into this movie and be surprised and just enjoy the ride. So,
yes.
Oh man. And what a ride
Absolutely.
it was. Yes.
Oh my gosh. So, let's think synopsis.
Yes.
When I ask you, what is this movie about? How do you answer that, Chelsea?
It's kind of hard to answer in a couple sentences, but I feel like we should start off with, this movie kind of starts off almost how every other Deadpool movie does, with some type of epic type fight scene where you're like thrust in the action. Yes.
Yeah, absolute gory fight scene. Mm-hmm. But like,
oh man, with an iconic music track. Like, man, this movie's just like a flashback to childhood vibes of let's just bring back great old school wonderful music. And it can't be just such a ridiculous fight, but then we also have to include dancing, because this is Deadpool.
Duh.
And Deadpool
Yes.
can feel and hear that music as much as we can, and we get that. But we also get a moment too of like, but let me catch you up on where we've been.
Also naturally to Deadpool.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's see. So Deadpool, his life has been a bit of a bummer since Deadpool 2. At the very, very end of Deadpool 2, we get things kind of coming back together for him. But then he takes Cable's time machine and he goes back to quote unquote fix so many
everything.
Everything in every movie ever and real life.
Yes.
That Green Lantern one always gets me. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
But that's kind of how the last movie ends. But between then and now, Deadpool's life has really just kind of slid down into like, I don't know. There's some depression in there. His girlfriend has left him because like
he's lost his purpose and stuff.
Yeah, he's lost his purpose, and that is affecting them to the point where like she can't love him any more than he loves himself. So she had to move on. He was kind of done doing the superhero thing.
Yep.
Not for lack of trying, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
Down.
Let's talk about that really quick, because it's kind of confusing. We know that Deadpool does not his world is separate. It's not 616 or I hate the fact that they make the MCU 616. It's not 616, but
it's movies 616.
It's movies 616. Like whatever, man. Okay.
Yeah.
But essentially he somehow finds his way to Earth 616
because Cable's device, I guess, because magically does other things.
I don't know. And he interviews with the Avengers. He interviews with Happy Hogan, and this is like 2018, so this is like right before Infinity War.
Yeah.
I think we're talking timeline. I think it's like right before Infinity War, because Endgame takes place in 2023, right?
I believe so.
Listeners, let me know. I think that's right, but we've like passed the point of like we're like caught up.
Yeah.
So he tries to interview as himself as Wade Wilson for the Avengers, and Happy turns him down, thinking like, well, it's
Happy
obvious
has
that
all the authority.
Yeah, right. Yeah. In that moment, he could be considered the man. He is. He's not the other man, he's the man. But Happy basically sends him on his way, going, it sounds like you need this more than the world needs you. And that's why the world needs the Avengers. The Avengers don't need to avenge, the world needs them. I thought it was a good talk. I thought that was a good, quick little retroflection.
Yeah.
On how Deadpool kind of sees his own superhero career. Add a lot of depression and desperation to it, and ouch, to get turned back. So now he's back in his universe.
Yes.
However he got there and however he got back, he's back.
It's Deadpool.
It's Deadpool.
Just let it go. Yes.
So he tries to move on with a natural life. He is BFFs with Peter from the X-Force.
Yes.
And movie 2.
The X-Force.
And he's selling cars. Like, that's kind of what he's doing. He's trying to give his life some kind of purpose again, to bring his girlfriend back, and things aren't working. No. He's bored. It is what it is, I guess.
And then we move on to his birthday party. It's a surprise birthday party after, a very unsuccessful day at work. Peter goes and's like, hey, come on, and everything, and then all of his friends are there to celebrate his birthday. And it kind of gives him a moment of, of joy, of a little bit of hopefulness for the future, because we get to see everybody who's been in all the other movies, from, good old Colossus to Yukio.
Yukio!
Yes, oh my gosh.
She's so precious. I love her so much.
Hi. Yeah.
He's so gentle with her, and he's
yes.
so not with everybody else.
Yes.
And especially in this one, it's just like, you made me cuss in front of Yukio. Stop.
Yes.
And she's
For
just
real.
like, it's okay, it's okay.
Yes. It was so funny, but it's just so sweet. It's just our hodgepodge group from all the movies coming together, just celebrating his birthday. And then, like, his now ex-girlfriend is there as well. And he's just like, I want us to be what we were. But then he's still, like, in that funk of being lost and everything. And just, there's no point forward until, isn't there a knock at the door?
Dun dun dun.
And he's like, oh, they invited some fun party guests. We're going to have some fun. And they're like, no, we're not those type of guests. We're not officers for your party. And they're like, we're done with this dude. We immediately take him away because when you see who they are, you're like, oh, it's the TVA.
Yeah, and if you've seen, like, if you've been watching Loki and stuff, like, you know who the TVA are, you know why they would maybe come visit somebody.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Especially Deadpool, who, you know, we've talked about has been having fun through time.
Didn't he just go and, like, murder a bunch of people and change a bunch of stuff?
Yep. Yeah. Because he saved everybody that died in the second movie. So that's totally changing so many things, as well as then, you know, just murdering galore. So he's like, oh, okay, like, you know, sorry, but, like, can't we be friends type thing. Deadpool is all like that. And then he's like, I guess I'll accept my punishment, but not really. And they're like, no, wait a minute.
Oh, we don't care about any of that.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah, like, yeah. Yes. But we have to have this, like, this dude be like this, like, the British guy being like, don't worry at all, you know, because his name's Paradox. And you're just like,
how? Yeah, okay. All right,
okay,
calm down.
Okay. Yeah. Like, okay, we see here. Yeah.
I love these scenes here so much because, like, you get a little bit of, like, oh, Deadpool is so in trouble, like, oh man, you know, because they say, like, we're the TVA, this is what we do, we stop these things from happening, and Deadpool's like, oh, bummer.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so we're gonna go back and change all those things again, and then he's just like, oh, no, we don't care about that. It's fine.
It's like, no, that's not why we called you here. Yeah.
Which, like, if you've seen Loki, you're like, what? But okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. He's like, well, we don't want to punish you. We actually want your help. We want you to work with us.
And it's like,
he's like, what?
Moment. Yeah. Like, what? There's something.
And basically,
for me.
they're like, you're the person we need to, like, save a world.
Yeah. To save his world.
His world. He's Marvel Jesus.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Because it's found out that his timeline is dying and that, like, everybody he has ever cared for, like, is just gonna cease to exist. But he's cool to leave his timeline, and he's like, wait, hold up, like, excuse me?
Hold the phone.
Like, no. And they're like, yeah, your timeline is dying because your, like, anchor point, your, like, main, like, hero died.
The most important person in the world, in your world, died. So we gotta just kind of, like, in a couple 100,000 years, like, your timeline will just kind of, like, peter out.
And he's like, well, put me back. Like, it's not a problem.
Yeah,
and they're like,
it's no problem.
oh, honey, you thought it was
down.
you. Yeah. No. They're like, it's the true hero, you know, it's the one and only Wolverine Logan. And he's like, oh. And it's the Logan, like Logan from Logan, the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is bonkers. Like, did you know that they take place in the same world?
It's like
would you watch Logan in the world that it has become in Logan and think that, oh, it's just like today, it's just like in the normal world? No, you wouldn't think that at all.
No.
And that was funny.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, I guess we'll weave it in that it's all the same thing. I was just like, I thought it was trying to pretend to be a different universe, but no, hey, it's all connected, of course.
Because then we get to watch, like, the death scene.
Yes.
Logan.
As if that didn't, like, tear you apart while watching the movie, and then it's like, ha ha ha, things are fun. Watching a death scene.
Well, like, everybody in the TVA is, like, crying and, like, dabbing their eyes. And Deadpool's like, screw this guy, man.
Yeah. And then because he's also like, Wolverine is dead. The dude who can heal himself, like, there's no way. And he's like, I'm gonna go see for myself. And then that kind of brings us back to more of the, like, the opening of it. The opening of the film.
Because the movie actually starts. Like, the first thing you see is Deadpool...
desecrating.
he's desecrating Logan's grave. He's digging him up because he's like, there's no way that he's not actually dead. Like, it just took a long time for him to restore himself. Like, it's fine. You know, I'll prove that he's alive and the world won't be destroyed, and it's fine. And he gets all the way down into the grave, and it's like, nope, adamantium skeleton. That's it.
Yep.
And he's not too happy.
No, and he's like, well, crap, now I have to figure out what to do. And then, of course, you know, he's messing with time and stuff, and guess who comes to stop him and bring him in again? The TVA.
Desecrated the grave of a hero!
Yeah, how dare you? And he's like, fight scene time.
Yeah, so they all start to fight. When I say they, I also mean Wolverine.
Yes, because Deadpool says, I'm not using any weapons, I promise, guys. And then he's like, let's dance, basically, with Wolverine. And, yep. All of Wolverine
the actual adamantium skeleton of Wolverine to absolutely murder this poor group of TVA people.
Yep. But
in
to
terribly
fantastic
gruesome
music.
ways.
To
fantastic music and a dance scene. Yes, of course.
But it's all...
Get some NSYNC in there, yeah.
Yes. Bye. And also just, like, the way it's choreographed, the way it, like, each, like, hit or kill, like, just goes with the music. Like, it's just a beautiful, horrifying mess.
It is, yes. But I laughed so much.
Yeah,
it's terrible. This is proof you're a bad person, the movie. Like, that's all these movies are, really. Like, you think you're a good person? Come sit down and watch Deadpool for a little bit. No, I'll see what you laugh at.
No, like, the nostalgia. Let's have some NSYNC in there. Let's have those dance moves. Let's just bring it back. But yeah, no, it's also terrible to laugh at it, but they knew what they were doing.
Oh, they did. Well, it's even worse when he, like, attaches Wolverine's, like, wrist to his own wrist.
Yes.
So he can, like, use the claws, but then like, he keeps getting them stuck in people.
In all the places, yep.
Wolverining is hard.
Yes. Yep, in which then, after he has killed everyone, Wolverine has killed everyone.
Of course, wink, yes.
Wink.
Naturally.
He realizes, well, crap, the Wolverine is really dead. You know what? I'm going to go find a replacement. So we get to go on a montage through so many different
multiversal montage.
Yes.
And the first one he comes across, comic accurate Wolverine.
Yes. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was brilliant.
Cackling. And this was before the montage even. This wasn't even like during the montage.
True.
He hops into a bar and like, oh, there's Wolverine, and you're like, everybody's like, oh my god, yay! And then he like hops off his little stool. No. You know, listeners, if you don't like know the comics, it's not a problem. But in the comics, Wolverine is like 5'3". He's this little like muscly hairy man. He's a little gnome. That's what he is. And Hugh Jackman
is
kind of fixed some of that, you know, in his movies, because he's not a short man at all. But he's a little short king.
Yep.
So Deadpool spends about like 20 seconds just kind of laughing.
And also just loving Wolverine. The short king. Yep.
Loving the short king.
Yep.
And then the montage starts.
Yep.
And we get a lot of different Wolverines stabbing Deadpool.
Yep. I mean, you don't ever like, just like
leave me alone.
Pop in on Wolverine and say
Wolverine's in a bar drinking. You leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Stay far
But
away.
we got lots of extra special Wolverines. Some of them were just like fun cameos, and some of them are like callbacks to comics. What was your favorite? Which one sticks out in your mind the most?
Oh, that's so hard now.
The one I laughed the most at was probably the Henry Cavill Wolverine.
Yes. Obviously, I don't know why I would immediately not jump to that one. That one is...
I'm not like a Henry Cavill fanboy by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, I didn't even know that he was like a person that the internet wanted to be Wolverine. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh.
Like, when I say I'm really not a Henry Cavill fanboy, like, my algorithm has 0 Henry Cavill in it. Like, I'm not joking.
No, I've seen so much about that. That was hardcore. They're like, if Hugh Jackman is not going to play him anymore, we need somebody else. And everybody is like, well, what about Henry Cavill? Like, he's just here for all the fans, I guess.
He is. I see a lot of Daniel Radcliffe. being Wolverine, but it's like he's so like he's not the kind of person. I can see like visually like the face. Mm-hmm. I could see it, I suppose, but like physically he is not.
No. Like I believe he probably could do it, but there's so much in me that would just be like, I just can't take this seriously. Like this isn't real. This is a Harry Potter dream or something, like I don't know.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. We got the one with Wolverine like being crucified like up on the X.
Oh yes.
I'm sure that was also from a comic. That has to be a reference.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it was, and I was like, oh, I'm not really super well versed with like Wolverine specific comics.
Specifically?
But,
yeah. So we'll deep dive that later.
Yes.
But there's a lot of like excellent like riffs and stuff going on in that montage.
Yes.
Until we do find the one we're looking for.
The perfect one.
The perfect one.
And he's so proud of himself for finding one to be the replacement for his universe and that his world will be saved. And so he takes him back to the TVA.
He takes him forcibly.
Yes. And he's just like, okay, whatever. And the TVA is like, oh, that's the Wolverine you picked? Oh, well, good for you.
Like, first off, like, shame on you for actively trying to find another one. Mm-hmm. And secondly, you brought us a Wolverine, sure, but you brought us the worst Wolverine.
Yeah.
Like, our Wolverine was a hero.
Yeah, this one is
the worst. Like, he let everybody die.
Yeah.
All of them.
Deadpool's like, well, oh, cool. Well, we'll make this work somehow, right?
Yeah,
come on.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, they immediately get themselves purged, so...
yes, yeah.
You know.
Well, because they were like, we're fed up with this, like, we're gonna fix everything ourselves, and then that's when they're like, no, you're not. Yep, you're right. And
we've got a plan, it's fine, we're just gonna get rid of the universe, it's fine.
Yep. And where are they brought to? This is all, stuff that we've seen in Loki, stuff that's happened to Loki in the TV show, and we see it also happen.
Yeah, this is flat out Loki territory. They don't change anything. So, like, if you've watched the series, you know what the Void is. Mm-hmm. You know that, people who are purged go to the end of time to be banished forever, basically. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's where they go.
Yep.
And in there...
This is where
you get like the best. I mean,
yes.
like,
no, this is like super highlight in the movie. There's so much going on. Like there is so much even going on truly before we even meet any other characters, because the landscape itself, the vibe of everything going on, that we also get, as Deadpool says, we get a like fan fight, we get an all out, like we get so many of these brawls in a sense between so many characters, but we get quite a few with Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they get to go at it. Wolverine is just absolutely infuriated, and he's already sick of Deadpool. Like, you couldn't have just left me like moping in my own time, and now you've sent me here, like, what did I do to you?
Yep.
Like, I'm sick of it, and here we go. We're doing this thing.
And what do they fight near? Did you notice the big old sign? Like
the 20th Century Fox.
Yep, deteriorating in the background, and this whole wasteland area, which there must be so... Like, I would need to watch this movie multiple times and, like, be able to pause the background to, like, focus at all the other, like, buildings and structures and stuff that... clearly have to be related to 20th Century Fox as a whole, as well as many of the movies that are referenced that we will get to momentarily. But yeah, no, it's going hardcore for 20th Century Fox.
Yeah, that fight is so great. It's just... I mean, when you think they're basically two immortal beings, and that's what they're not just like, they're not punching each other, we'll tell you that.
No.
Just like the moves that they're using, it's just amazing. Everything is amazing in this. Like, from here on out, like, everything is great.
Yeah.
I basically paid to watch this fight, and everything else is just extra.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're fighting like their first fight, their normal fight, and in the middle of the fight, some dude shows up, and he's like, hey, like, this angry time thing is gonna come and eat you. Mm-hmm. And they're like, what? And then you get a lot of, like, cool stuff happening. He, like, jumps off a thing and, like, does a superhero landing.
And they're like, oh my gosh, it's the hero, the one.
Yes, and Deadpool is all, like, fangirling. And,
yes.
And then he pulls back his hood, and it's Chris Evans.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god, and all these things, like, fourth wall breaking's happening.
And Deadpool is like, oh, Cap, you're here, the greatest.
Say oh, and then some Mad Maxy villains show up.
Yeah, which is so funny because then, like, I feel like this was another layer on top of this whole movie too, because we get so many movies on so much commentary and so much else, but like when Deadpool's like, wait a minute, this is like Mad Max stuff, this is like naming all the characters, he's like, this is like copyright infringement, because like, but we also see another, like, lots of jabs at a particular company, because like Mad Max is owned by Warner Brothers, which also owns DC. So some little fun jabs there, I suppose. But yes, a very ridiculous, over-the-top Mad Max situation. And our mysterious hero, our Cap, is here to help us?
Question mark?
Yeah.
And you get this whole build-up moment, because it's like Cap's going to go and fight these villains, because they show up, look, we're going to take you back to her. She will want to meet you. And Cap is getting up, and he's all like, you know, doing the thing, and Deadpool's fangirling again. He's like, he's gonna say the thing, and he pulls off like his cape and stuff, and he shouts, "Flame on!"
He said the thing, not the thing you thought he was gonna say. Oh man, that was a great surprise of fun, of just like, yes, here's our first callback to.
And who does he use his fire powers on, Chelsea?
Oh man, our OG Pyro from the original X-Men trilogy.
Dumb. And what does Pyro do with those fire powers?
Oh, just, sucks them up.
And where is Chris Evans when he gets his fire powers turned off?
Oh, just really, really up in the air and just smashes into every single thing on the way down. Yep.
Landing on his neck.
But he's okay, apparently.
Yeah, he's fine. Like, okay, whatever, man.
I thought we were immediately just going to have him die, and I was like, this is so on brand for this movie to be like...
it is so on brand. I was like, man. But no, Deadpool and Wolverine, basically, they get, like, trapped by a magnet, and then they're being taken to, like, the villain's hideout. Whatever you want to call it, their base. But then, like, Johnny Storm is there. Like, he's fine.
Yes.
He's in the little cage with them, and he's just fine.
And they come across this base. Now, what or who is the base?
That base is the remains of Ant-Man in his giant form.
Oh, so terrible. Paul Rudd does age.
Yeah, he finally aged.
I was like, yep, there has to be a joke for that, but that's perfect. And we get a new villain that we've talked quite a bit about.
She has come up. Yes. Yeah, she has come up in mostly in Marauders. But they finally used this villain in a movie, which was pretty cool. Yeah. I was really unsure, where are they going with her, Because her stories in the comics, they're pretty terrible. She doesn't just show up on a Tuesday afternoon to cause some havoc and run away. She shows up to perform genocide. So it was really wow, what's going on? Well, basically, she's trapped in the void. The TVA put her in the void because they couldn't handle her. Yep. Shocker.
Which we didn't say her name, so...
Oh, yeah, we should probably... Hey, yeah. Cassandra Nova.
Yep.
Who is technically she's the twin of Charles Xavier, but that's not really correct.
Lots of thousands of asterisks below it, but generalized.
Don't worry about it. Basically, they were in the womb together, and she tried to kill Charles, and he used his telepathic powers to...
It's really
stop her, but she was never actually born. It's really weird. Don't worry about it. It's not important. Yeah. They're twins. She hates him. She hates mutants. It's whatever, man.
She has very
she's really
similar
cool though. Yeah. She has very similar powers, but way better than Charles's? Question mark.
Also, just more variety
and more. She's quite well. She's not really crazy. She's just
evil.
She's very hateful.
Yeah.
That's it, really. She's just very spiteful of Charles. But she's there. She's stuck in the void. She's leading this group of villains and whoever else she has under her jurisdiction. And she's just kind of rules the void in a way. And she doesn't really mind it. She's like, yeah, it's fine, dude. But basically, she's like, yeah, so I have a Wolverine now. That's cool. I've always wanted one of those. And she's, been trying to track down Johnny Storm, too.
Yep.
Who quickly meets his end.
Yep.
When Deadpool runs his mouth.
Yes, and saying all the things that he said. And she's all like, you really said that about me? He's like, and Johnny's like, no, I didn't. And then she's like, you're dead. And just completely rips him apart and just
like, well, she rips his skin off.
Yeah.
And causes his like internal organs and everything else to just kind of like collapse into a pool.
Yep.
It's very gross. Which is the point. It's very shocking to see that happen to Chris Evans, you know? Mm-hmm. Very major shocking point.
Yep.
And then, of course, Deadpool's all like, oh my god, like, oh, why did you have to say those things? He got Johnny Storm absolutely murdered.
And Wolverine is just like, that is so your fault. And he's like, I don't want anything to do with you. This dude, like, we are not the same. Like, do not kill me. Like,
please don't put me in the box with him.
Yep.
So essentially, like, I can't remember the time monster's name for the life of me. Starts with an A.
Oh, it's Eliath, I think.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So he's coming back, and Cassandra's basically like, you join me or you get eaten. See ya. Yeah. And she just kind of like walks back in. And so they're trying to like fight off the villains, but the villains are also like trying to not get eaten.
Yep.
Some not so successfully. But like you've got some pretty cool villain cameos.
Yes. Let's start naming like, some of them.
If you've seen like the older X-Men movies, like from any of the franchises really, we've got like the original Toad, the original Sabretooth.
Yes.
Technically the original Juggernaut, although I don't think it's the same actor, but it's supposed to be that Juggernaut.
Yeah. From the,
like, they got really close. He looks really close to him. Mm-hmm. And then you have Azazel from the First Class movies. Mm-hmm. You've got a bunch of, were they the Marauders? Maybe the Murdochs from X3.
I don't know what they were specifically called in that
The general bad mutants that they kind of picked up, on their little revolution.
Yeah.
You got some of them, which none of them really talk. They don't really have like a talking role. They're just like there for action shots and they fight a little bit. But it's good to see all of those people just kind of back on the screen,
For real, because it's like some of these movies are super old. Like when you reflect on like this movie that we are watching that talking about, this come out this year, 2024. The first X-Men movie came out in 2000. Straight 2000. Like these movies, so like, oh man, like it's just amazing. And like the fact that these, like many of these are like the actual like original actors, like the fact that they like got them to come back for like it's really cool in that regard too.
Psylocke.
Yeah,
Psylocke
it
wasn't Olivia Munn. It wasn't Olivia Munn. But it was Psylocke though.
Yeah, I was like, is that Psylocke? I was like, okay, well, we'll just pretend that's not.
She's got her like mental weapons, her psychic weapons and stuff. It is. It's just not Olivia Munn. But if Olivia Munn didn't come back for that, if she was asked and she said no, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair,
because a lot of the backlash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
which is fair, and that still was kind of a joke, and I'm like, we still didn't get a good Psylocke.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm like, that's why I immediately blocked that out of my mind about like, what's that Psylocke? I didn't see it. Let's keep going.
Didn't exist. Moving on.
Yeah.
So basically, like in the middle of all this chaos, Wolverine finds a way to kind of like projectile himself out of all of this craziness, and Deadpool, of course, latches on.
Yep.
They land in like a forest area.
Yes.
Where they stumble upon this car.
Yes.
Which, they're like, we'll just drive. It's fine. They're driving, and then, there's exposition, and they're talking about their feelings or lack thereof and stuff like that. And Wolverine's basically like, I'm going to give you a piece of my mind.
Yep.
And Deadpool's like, we're fighting now.
Yep. So then there is an all-out bloodbath, ridiculous.
Like, in the car.
In the
car. They fight in the car. The choreography in that car is, it was a fun time.
Yeah, a fun time.
Even
also,
though it's more of a fight, even though, than like the first fight. Because, like, this is an emotional fight too.
And there's such close quarters too. Like, there's nowhere to go. Like, it's just really brutal. And the car shows what happened.
So, and then we move to the time where they kind of are passed out.
Yes.
And somebody drives off with a car, and they wake up. Our Deadpool wakes up, and he's looking around, and Wolverine is kind of already awake, and he's already found the liquor, and
yeah, he's already drinking. He's like,
he's the best at what he does.
So. Yes, yeah, exactly. And he's like, this place is cool. Found the liquor, so we're good.
And then somebody walks in.
Oh, man.
And this is kind of like, this is where a lot of the fun stuff happens.
Yes.
Or starts, I should say. But Elektra walks in.
Yes.
The original, like, Jennifer Garner Elektra, which is bonkers. Like, I mean, cool at the same time. Like, I'm not saying that movie was great, but she was a cool Elektra, you know?
Yeah. Well, and she's just an impressive, like, actress, too, because, like, she does all her stunts, or as many of them as she could, like, and she at least put a lot of care and love, and that's what we see in a lot of these actors, too. Like, their movies might not have been good, but a lot of people were passionate about their characters.
They care about their roles and the characters that they portray, and those are important to them. Well, especially in these, like, with these really early superhero movies, that's where a lot of these people kind of got into, like, the mainstream of acting, which is, I mean Jennifer Garner was an actress before Elektra, but you know, it was still important for her. But you have her walk in, they chat a little bit, and then you have flippin' Wesley Snipes.
Wow.
Like, I think he walked on screen, and first I was like starstruck, like, oh my god. I was like, wait, isn't he in prison? Apparently not anymore. I might be behind the times.
It's been quite a bit, I think, but
oh, fantastic. Yes. Okay. But great. I was like, I loved the Blade movies growing up. Like, it was like the only like rated R movies that I could just kind of grab off the shelf and watch. I loved them. I watched them all the time. And then somebody you would never expect to see, because it's a cameo, but it's the
cameo that doesn't exist, but now it does.
It's the cameo that never was.
Yes.
Freaking Channing Tatum walks in as Gambit. The role that he was denied time and time and time again.
For years and years, like, begging for the movie to be made. Oh my gosh.
I passed out of my chair. I was just I
freaked out. Done. I was like, oh Movie's my over. Gosh, it's him. No way.
And you know what's even crazier? Like, the accent.
I couldn't get over it. It was a little bit cringe in so many amazing ways, and I was just like, whoa there. Like, he committed.
Channing Tatum doesn't do accents. Like, I love Channing Tatum for multiple reasons, but, like, his acting skills, they're not that great, okay? He's not that great of an actor. He does a lot of really good things. Like, he knows how to act, but he's not a great actor, you know? And voices and accents are not on his list of superhero powers. So the fact that he did the accent...
oh my gosh, and that's what I say, he committed to this. Like, this is a role he has been waiting for years, and guess what? He finally got the opportunity, and like, wow. Because, like, this is like 3 people that were just like, whoa, to have cool cameos, to be like, you know, people who have actually been those characters, but it's been like freaking forever, to, like we said, like the cameo, like, for the role that never existed. And at this point, I'm like, whoa, this is what we're already setting up now. Like, what else is coming? Like, I'm already happy and just, like, surprised for where we're at right now. Like, and besides all the ones we already got with Cassandra Nova as well. And you're just like, oh man, this is just great. But it's the accuracy of his outfit too. I could not get over that.
Oh, like okay, yeah. My only thing, which I hated it, and you're not supposed to like it, but like the headpiece. I like talked about the headpiece in the car on the way back home for like 20 minutes.
I was just staring at his neck, or the lack thereof.
Well, yeah, because like they have like the neck attaches to like the chest plate, right? Yeah. But it like frames his face like all the way up to let his hair kind of fly out. Yeah. And it's like, you could have not done that. Yeah. But I think that was the point. I mean, it was all done on purpose.
Yes.
But I was just like, man, why did you, like, everything looked so cool, and then you had to use the headpiece.
But then he had to speak at the same time. It was all perfectly, wonderfully terrible, just beautiful, everything.
So we have our heroes, getting to know the new people, but they're each getting their little moments to talk, like, well, like, our universe ended, you know, and we were sent here. Like, it's that, except for poor Gambit, who's like, I'm never even sure if my universe ever existed. Yeah.
Yes.
And, like, everything that comes out of his mouth is such like a passive aggressive, like
Yes.
fourth wall breaking. If you're aware of that whole situation, it's all like, I swear to God, they were like, here's a pen, write your own lines, go for it, buddy. I bet he did, honestly.
Yeah, or just
I bet
ad
he
lib.
did.
Like,
He's a
yeah,
funny
for real.
guy.
Yeah, for real.
He's a funny guy. I bet he did it.
Yeah. Well, and talking about like their past and stuff, because they're talking about like now and stuff, and like, Daredevil. Yeah, he didn't make it, and I think Deadpool goes,
Like,
sorry, Elektra, and she's like,
I'm sorry for your loss. It's
and
fine.
she's like, it's fine. Yeah, and I'm like, on so many levels, that's hilarious.
Hold on, we're old. We need to explain that to the young people. So way back when her movie was made, she came out of a different movie.
Yes,
she came out of the Daredevil movie.
The original
Daredevil was played by not the Netflix, not the cool one. This was like, he was played by a young Ben Affleck. Mm-hmm. This is one of the first superhero movies made. Okay, they were both in the movie. They were married also.
Yes.
And then not too terribly long later, they got divorced. Mm-hmm. And it was a rough divorce. Like, he went and got married to Jennifer Lopez, which is its own house of cards to this day.
Yes.
So she was like, I dodged a bullet. Jennifer Garner was like, okay, that's fine. So the fact that Elektra was like, it's fine.
Yeah. It's just like, get some layers there. But yeah.
There's a lot of layers with all of these characters.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like commentary.
Yeah. What about I'm the only Blade?
And I'm the only one there ever will be.
Yeah. I'm like, oh.
He says to the camera.
Yes. Which honestly, with that particular movie announcement, like, that movie has been through so many directors, so many writers, like, because this movie was announced like at this point, which that has been a good couple of years, and Mahershala Ali is the one who's set to play Blade, but this
and
movie
he's hanging on for dear life. He's like, oh, it's fine, like, we're still going. The poor guy.
I know, excellent actor, but I'm just like, I'm nervous about this because it's been such a wild ride, just very similar to, in a sense, sadly, to Gambit's whole experience.
Yeah, well, like, and you know, like, they must be fighting through some pretty severe, like, creative disagreements.
Yes.
Which makes me wonder, like, what version of Blade from the comics are they wanting to put forth, you know? Because Blade in the comics, well, like, if you watch the old movies, that kind of sums up Blade in a very detached from the rest of the Marvel Universe way. Like, he's a vampire hunter. He is a vampire. He's a vampire hunter. It's not terribly complicated, but he has a lot of really cool stories that are connected to the expanded world of Marvel. So I don't know. I really hope that movie ends up continuing and we get to see it someday. But man, someday I want to know the drama behind this.
Yeah. Well, so after we have these three explain a little bit of stuff going on, we have one other character that walks into the area. Oh my gosh. Yes. Laura.
Like our favorite Wolverine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. By a lot.
Yes. For real. Yeah, for real.
So,
the best.
So if you've seen Logan, you know who X-23 is. Laura. The little girl, you know, that he fought to save the entire movie, more or less. That relationship, she's there. She's been purged.
Yep.
Presumably from the same universe, right? Like,
yeah.
It's that one.
Yeah, because that's what she references, like, that's her, Logan and everything. And this is played by the same person who played the original.
And she's grown up so much. Oh my gosh.
And we're like, yeah, well, it has been quite a few years, because I think Logan came out, 2017? And she was pretty young then. Like, wow.
Yeah, she was just a little girl, yeah.
Yeah, it's just fun to see all these people coming back for all these roles and everything. And I'm just like, but she has such a hopeful future, maybe. We'll see. Tease or not, but...
Deep breath.
Yeah, I know. Getting a little ahead, but it would be great to see her in this, so.
Right. They make a little comment about, we Johnny Storm is part of our group too, but we haven't really heard from him. And Deadpool's like, I don't know, who's he?
And then lets it go, oh, I saw him, basically.
Like, he's like, oh, I have no idea who that is. And then immediately is like, he sounded great. Like, I mean, we met him just briefly. Yeah. And Wolverine's, like, in the background drinking, just like, But basically, like, we have our little group now. And they're like, okay, well, the only thing we have left to do is basically go attack Cassandra and try to get you all home. Because, like, we're at the end of our ropes here. So if we can help you get back, that works for us. Like, then maybe we can, like, go out in style.
Yeah.
Which, it's this whole commentary talk about, like, having a proper ending.
Yes.
To a series that they never got to, like, have, right? I love the commentary in this movie. Everybody is so on the edge of, like...
Yes.
like breaking the fourth wall at all times, you know?
100%.
But we get some nice little moment with Wolverine and Laura.
Yeah.
And of course, when Wolverine doesn't know who she is because it's a different Wolverine. So, but she more or less treats him the same way that she treated her, Logan, at the end, you know? A lot of respect for his sacrifice and what he'd went through and stuff like that. So, mushy time's over. It's time for another fight scene.
Yes. Oh, man.
We're going to go and attack Cassandra Nova's base.
Yes. And everybody gets a cool moment. Like, and that's what's so cool to see. Like, they went all out on these fight scenes.
They really did. Like, they get there, and basically, like, you get your cool, like, superhero lineup going, right? And then Wolverine crawls out drunk of the back of the car because, you know, because he's like, I'm not going. But then he does. He stows away in the back. Then you get those four, the four that have kind of been left behind. They're like, we're gonna, like, fight for you. Like, and when you have a moment, you all run in. And so this next fight is really all about them. You get to see all four of them being absolute badasses. And it's amazing.
Yeah. And the full capabilities of what Gambit's fights could look
done.
like. Yes.
Like, well, like, okay, so like Blade is just being Blade, right? He's slinging his blade around and he's just being cool Wesley Snipes. And then you got really cool Elektra. You know, she doesn't have powers. She's just freaking cool.
Yeah.
And you even have Laura jumping around and kicking people with her little toe knife. But then you have Gambit though, who actually like has powers. And if you're not really like sure what he does, basically he can charge the potential energy in an object into kinetic energy, which basically just means it go boom. So his signature thing is he throws playing cards. He'll charge up a playing card with his purple power, and he throws it, and when it hits something, it explodes. And he can make that explosion, like, a pop to, like, you know, whatever he needs. And then he uses a staff to similar effect. He charges it with potential energy, and then he hits people with it, and it like, hits harder, and, you know. But you get to see Channing Tatum just be so freaking cool.
Yes, like, we get to spend extra time with him. They're like, we know what you're here for. Yes, extra. Yep. So we get to see it all.
You who has never had screen time, we're going to give it to you right now. And he does some cool things. They let him just go for it.
Yeah, I love it. I was like, wow, like this is so ridiculous and kind of cheesy in so many ways, but also just so fantastic to just see a live action version of Gambit just like fully utilizing his powers, because I feel like in some things it's so underutilized. I mean, in the recent, like, you know, X-Men 97, we talk about that, like all the characters are able to really use their powers, and that's really cool. But in sometimes like prior like renditions of some of the shows, even like one of my favorites, X-Men Evolution and stuff, like he's seen as a cool dude, but like we don't get to see full force of like what he can do with his powers. So it's just it's cool to see mutants using their abilities on screen.
Things we don't get to see as often. Unless you are Scott or Storm or Jean or Magneto.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, like,
or Wolverine.
My thing with Jean, like, you don't get to see Jean do cool stuff.
No.
Until she's the Phoenix, in which, like, well, her, like, cool, great, now she has to die. Like, that's kind of how they've treated Jean so far. And it's like, oh my god, if in the future, however they use Jean, if she doesn't get to be her cool self and not just, like, a damsel in distress with mind-reading powers, you know? Oh my god. Like, the one girl who could, like, 1v1 any mutant, basically. Or, like, every mutant, basically, at the same time.
Yes.
Anyway,
at
the same time.
Yes. But anyway, we'll move on from that. But very cool fight scenes. Yep.
Very cool fight scene. So Deadpool and Wolverine, they get inside. They confront Cassandra. And there's a lot of, like, you get to see some showcasing of her powers. Nothing too crazy. I mean, it's just her, like, kind of reading Wolverine's mind. And there's some, you know, she's trying to, like, get into his feelings about who he is. But basically, they succeed. They get Juggernaut's helmet. And they put it on her head because Juggernaut's helmet is like Magneto's helmet, where it blocks out, like, psionic abilities. So it stops her from being able to use her powers at all. And they're trying to get her to, like, get them home, basically. And then Pyro walks in and he, like, starts shooting her. Yeah. Because he's working for the TVA.
Or the rogue TVA agent.
The rogue TVA.
Yes. With his own agenda about...
Dun dun dun.
I want to kill
Paradox.
all these people anyway. Yep. Paradox.
Paradox.
Exactly. Such paradox.
And so they they free Cassandra. They get her to promise that she won't immediately kill them the second the helmet comes off, because she could.
Yep. And she does say, yeah.
Well, yeah,
she's
like, tell us you're not gonna, like, and she's just like, the second you remove this helmet, I will kill you all. The second. Yes. And it's like, yeah, she will. But she doesn't. Yep. She's like, okay, you really could have killed me. And there's some talk of Charles in there and kind of going back and forth with feelings. And basically she's like, okay, well, you see, this Doctor Strange character came across us not too long ago. And what did she say? Like, I killed him and I wore his skin like a puppet for a few days. That was kind of entertaining. But then she pulls out his sling ring.
Also wearing skin, I was triggered. I was like, too much from Urker Cohen age of comics. I'm like, too much wearing skin. I'm like, come on. But also so on brand for her insanity character.
So yeah, she's like, I don't, like, if you all want to leave at this point, get out. It's really not, this is not of my interest anymore. Like, Charles can have his happy world. I'm happy here. And he can't take that from me, and I don't need to take that from him. It's fine. So she sends them on their way. They're back. They're like, we gotta stop this Time Ripper from killing off this universe. I feel like I'm missing something there.
Well, Cassandra then, like, by reading people's minds is kind of like, oh, wait a minute, this, like, time-looping, like, machine stuff, I can use this for my own advantage. Like, I'm just gonna destroy everything. All that's left is gonna be, like, my domain.
Basically, she comes out from reading Pyro's mind in the Void. She's like, oh, that sounds like fun. So she comes out, and then she reads Paradox's mind, and she's like, oh, I'll use your Time Ripper to basically just prune literally every other timeline of every other universe. And then, like, everything will be, like, in the Void with me, and I will have fun for the rest of eternity. There. I'll rule over everything. Always. And they're like, well, obviously we can't let that slide. But you know what? There's something else we forgot to mention from earlier. The Deadpool Corps.
Yes. Well, she sends them, like, the Deadpool Corps to stop Deadpool and Wolverine from getting to their agenda. Yes, so the whole Deadpool Corps, which, yes, they were alluded to earlier.
You hear a lot, like, there's a lot of Deadpools in the Void, because they get sent there quite often, apparently. Go figure. Go figure. Yeah. But, yeah, so she opens up a portal, and 100 different Deadpools walk in, which some are cameos. So I was really looking really hard through those shots. Some of them are just, like, stylized Deadpools. Like, you have, like, a samurai Deadpool and a cowboy Deadpool. That cowboy Deadpool, by the way, is played by Matthew McConaughey, voiced by him.
That makes sense. Well, so Lady Deadpool, do you know who she's played? Yeah.
She's played by Blake Lively.
Yep.
Mr. Reynolds' wife.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
The Baby Pool and Kid Pool are played by their daughters.
A whole family affair.
Everybody's in it.
Yep. More Ryan Reynolds playing other Deadpool characters. Nice Pool.
Nice Pool.
Yes.
He's a nice guy. He's a great guy.
It's like, yeah, I'm all good. Yeah. Oh, because we forgot to mention another Deadpool character.
Dog Pool.
Yes.
That little freak gremlin dog. Yeah. Gross.
Yes.
Those scenes with that dog were too much. I can't. Like, he's like holding the dog.
Yeah.
And like every time you look, they like look back at him, like the dog is like licking more and more, and to the point where they're basically just like making out. I can't.
Yes. Yeah.
That was too much. I was like, oh, you got me. That's
Some people
gross.
really love their dogs. Yep. Anyway, so lots of craziness fights and just going through all the crazy cameos, just all variations of all the Deadpools. And, you know, like, they're like, all right, because it turns into a bloodbath of a fight, literally, where our main Deadpool and Wolverine are like, we're gonna get through it all.
Those two versus, well, 99, 98 Deadpools, I suppose.
Yeah.
But this is a moment, this moment was very highly planned. Like, the music. The music used during this fight section is Madonna's Like a Prayer, which continues throughout the rest of the movie. Like, they use it a lot more. But, like, you have, like, it's just like a side view of this street as Wolverine and Deadpool are running down the street, and all these other Deadpools are coming at them, where they're just, like, slaughtering all of the other Deadpools, set to Like a Prayer. And, you know, it's all kind of, like, slow motion, and you get to see a lot of gross stuff. It, like, speeds up and slows down and stuff. But they make it all the way down the street, and they kill all the Deadpools. And then what happens when you turn around? Well, they're all regenerated because they're all Deadpools. Which, I mean, to be fair, nice pool, no generation power. He did not regenerate.
The only one,
he just
though.
died.
Nope.
What do you mean regenerate?
Accident.
To be fair, that was the one super murder that Deadpool did where he thought he would be fine. He thought he really would regenerate.
Yeah, but I also think he was like, no, I want that dog. This dude has got to die. Yeah.
Well, you're already there. Like, he's already taken like 25 bullets. I mean, what's another 150? I mean, you know, it's fine. He's already literally vomiting blood everywhere. It's okay.
Yeah.
But basically, like...
But we have another Deadpool.
Yeah, we have one more Deadpool.
Yes. Because it's come down to, all the Deadpools are, back at it again, and they're about to, just be like, nope, you Deadpool and you this Wolverine, you guys are going down. And who comes to their rescue?
It's Peter Pool.
Yep. And all the Deadpools are like, Peter? Peter's their man! We love Peter!
Because apparently every Deadpool has a Peter.
Apparently.
I'm guessing Peter's like, they're kind of turning him into like Bob, like Hydra Bob. In the comics, Deadpool always has Hydra Bob. They're BFFs. This guy named Bob, he works for Hydra. He's just a little Hydra grunt. But Peter is basically that. And they all like swarm Peter and like pick him up. And they're basically like, oh, you two are great, go.
Yeah.
Like, we have Peter, you're good. You're fine. Like, they're over it. They're great. So, we get to the end of the movie, and Wolverine and Deadpool are faced with this conundrum. You can stop Cassandra, but, like, one of you has to kill yourselves to do it.
Yep.
Not to get into the specifics, but that's basically it. So they go to the place, and Cassandra is already, like, cutting down universes left and right with this machine that she now has. And Wolverine's like, I have nothing to go back to. You stay here. You go back to your world, love your friends, like, thank you for this journey. This is now my job. But then, of course, Deadpool flips it on him. He accepts it, and then he flips it on him.
Yeah.
Like, but that's why I have to do it, though, because you have more. There's still more you can do. So you get Deadpool trying to save the world, and he just can't reach the thing that he needs to reach. And who comes in? Wolverine, holding hands.
Just need a friend to help you.
Just need a friend. So together they can complete the death circuit. And you get the glorious image.
Yes, I say, but not before we
you have
see
all of this power surging
yes.
between the two. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But between the two, and of course, like, Wolverine's like entire chest piece just like explodes.
Yeah. And we just have to have a slow-mo over.
And enter back into Madonna in like super grand choir as Deadpool is like literally fighting for his life, trying not to explode, but like also getting to watch a super sweaty Wolverine. Like, it's fine.
It's where he was meant to be.
And everything explodes, and Cassandra evaporates. And the worlds are saved. Yep. Everything is back to normal. The TVA comes and they're like, hey, you fake TVA jerks. Like, what you did was bad. And they're like, but like, we were actually trying to help. And Deadpool and Wolverine, they saved us all.
It was like, we couldn't do anything without them. We didn't do anything else. And then guess who else comes waltzing in?
And they walk back in and they're like, and he's like, oh, damn.
Yeah. He's like, you guys didn't die? They're like, why would you think we died? Like, that's weird for you to think that, but no.
Who gets atomized and just walks up from that? It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Like, it's us. Come on. Duh. Yeah.
So bad guys go to jail. Cassandra's dead.
Yep.
Although Wolverine doesn't really want to go back to his world. Like, there's nothing there for him. So he stays. And basically, like, he just kind of joins Deadpool's little crazy family.
Yeah.
But they have nice moments at the end. But then you find out that they brought back Laura. The TVA brought back Laura from the void. As, like, a reward for doing everything they did, which...
like, oh, man. I was like... Because, it's like, you think it's everybody from the beginning, except for, like, now the addition of, Wolverine, and then you're just like, wait, Laura's there, too. Like, what does this mean?
Camera pans over, oh, look, it's Laura.
Yeah.
Snuggling up to Wolverine, like, stop, I can't.
It's like, oh, yes.
And that's it. That's the movie. It's
Essentially.
hinted that, yeah, essentially, it's hinted that Deadpool is going to get back together with his girlfriend, that all is well. Like, he's found his purpose again. He knows what his quote-unquote world is, you know, and he wants to, like, love and protect it. And yeah, and so there is a, like, post-credit scene at the very, very end. But as you sit and wait for that, you get this lovely montage of, like, behind-the-scenes clips and stuff from, like, all the other Fox property movies.
To music that hits you in the feels.
Yeah, you get some Green Day in there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, like for us old people who were there, like when all of these other movies came out back before there was an MCU, before there was connected universes, before there was people who gave a damn about the quality of their superhero movies. This is all we had, and seeing all of these behind-the-scenes clips of all of these actors just having a great time together and doing their silly things, like, it just made me want to, like, sit there in that chair and cry.
Yeah. Like, adding to that specifically with, like, leading towards this moment, it, like, even hit me more so with this movie. Like, did I enjoy this movie? Yes. Did I personally think it was a cinematic masterpiece? Maybe, but it's funny, entertaining, in so many ways, like, nostalgic, so many callbacks. Like, this movie is a love letter to the fans, but not to the MCU.
Not to the MCU.
No.
Actually, it's anytime the MCU is brought up, it's to, like, jab at it. It's to poke fun at it. Which, I mean, I laughed at the jokes, because that's fair. I mean, there's some fair stuff said in that.
Yeah.
But no, all this movie was, like, it was a Deadpool movie, it was a Wolverine movie, but it was an ending for all of these other 20th Century Fox movies, which you don't get that until, like, to the end, those end fight scenes with the other heroes. Like, you don't fully start to understand what it's about. And you gotta love Ryan Reynolds for wanting that. Because he could have took his bag, he could have hopped right heckin' over to the MCU and left, you know, and not really done anything with anything. He didn't. That's not what he wanted to do. No,
this, like, it was truly a love letter to the fans of 20th Century Fox, of, like, the original, like, big deal superhero movies. Like we said, like, the first X-Men movie came out in 2000. That was a 20th Century Fox film. Like, it started with that. Like, so many people were in all these films. Like, when we, like, talk about towards, like, the credits and all the, like, different behind the scenes, like, there are so many, like, crazy well-known actors that have been throughout all these movies. Not even just a lot of the X-Men movies, but we've had people clearly with, like, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, Elektra. There has been a lot that has come before the MCU. And it's just, like, this whole movie also helps to, like, we said, like, it captures this is the bookend of an era, but also the start of a new beginning as well. It's really beautiful in that regard, and it was something that I was not fully expecting from this movie.
Oh, not at all. Like, and I think, like, the whole theater of people that I went, like, you know, the credits started, and you get that, like, you get some applause because we went the first night, and you get the chitter chatter and the laughter, but the second, like, the montage started and people realized what was happening, it was dead silent in there. Because I think like, those feels were activated.
Yeah.
Activated, you know. To see the cast of the original X-Men movie, like, off in the background of the shot being stupid together. To see Halle Berry just being her perfect, phenomenal self. You know, like, and then they kept showing little itty-bitty clippets of, like, that one Fantastic Four movie that we don't talk about. And I was just like, that's not what this is about.
It's about the other Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah, they have nothing to do with this. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Although they didn't really show a whole lot from those actors, you know?
No.
And I think it could be as simple as, like, maybe that footage doesn't exist anymore. Maybe they didn't have it.
Because I think specifically with X-Men, like, I think they've released, like, multiple cuts of, like, the first or second movies and stuff with so much behind the scenes, so much extra content. Like, I think they definitely had a lot from those movies to show, which makes sense. And, like, of course, like, Deadpool in a sense is kind of like an X-Men movie. We see so many mutants, so many X-Men involved in this stuff too. So it makes sense to have a little bit of that as well. But no, it's just, this movie just really hits, like, a really special place, though, of just pulling us back to what we have seen over the years. And just, it's
crazy because, like, the state of the MCU right now, while I think a lot of, like, the negativity that's come up a lot in the last handful of years, a lot of it really is, it's pretty much fan-led, like, It's over, I don't know how to say. It's people just being upset, you know? Because most of the stuff that has been said about the hate the MCU's been getting the last handful of movies, like, I have not been on board those trains. Like, it's just, like, starting, like, the second Endgame was over, everything was like, well, like, that was awful. Like, Endgame was way better. Well, like, well, duh. It was the culmination of 10 years worth of movies. Like, you can't compare stuff to Endgame. You can't do that. Like, if you can say any of these movies were better than, like, the first Iron Man or the first Thor movie or the first Captain America, like, we're still doing pretty good, folks, okay? And I don't think, like, those first, like, the first Thor, first Iron Man, first Captain America, lift Captain America up a little bit, but those movies weren't, like, amazing. At the time, they were a lot better than what we'd ever gotten before. But compared to stuff that we've gotten through the MCU since, they're, like, pretty low for me, you know?
Yeah,
so
I think there's just something for everybody, and I think people are probably just, like, you know, expecting something that's not coming. And I'm like, well, we have to have some newness out there, and I think it's just stepping into the new environment and also just the unknown of what is to come. But in general, I mean, it is a little bit of a mess for multiple reasons, and why we've seen some struggling just of trying to find, like, connection between these movies in a sense. But I mean, they're all movies. People worked hard to make these. I think you can probably find something at least good to say about all of them, and I think that's also looking back in general with Deadpool, seeing, like, silliness and stuff of all the movies that came before. Like, these are not all top tier movies, but these are movies that people put love and care into, that I think it's just exciting to see the characters we love from comics appear on screen. I think that's kind of like coming back to that idea.
That's great. Yes. That's great. Like, you know, one day, like, there will be 0 superhero movies anymore. Like, and then people will be like, oh, but, you know, like, I wish they would do this. But the MCU, like, just, like, let it cook. Let it cook. We've got 2 new Avengers movies coming in the next 3 years. On top, our next movie is...
It's Captain America, Brave New World.
Captain America, which comes out in February. Then we have the Thunderbolts. That cast for the Thunderbolts is looking pretty cool. I'm excited to get a lot of those people back on the screen. And then later, we have the Fantastic Four movie. The First Steps. We got a new title for that.
Yes. With the new announcement as well of who's going to be around. I don't know are they in that movie specifically, or are they going to be in a different movie?
Well, they haven't said. So, listeners, if you haven't been paying too much attention to social media and general nerdiness, maybe you don't, and maybe that's why you listen to us. We have some news for you. They recently announced at Comic-Con that there's been some title changes to the next Avengers movie. They're moving away from the Kang story. To no shock, if you're up to date on what's going on in that situation. But Avengers 5 has changed from was it the Kang Dynasty?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Originally was.
That's scrapped. It's now Doomsday with Victor Von Doom. And they announced from recording just last night that Victor Von Doom will be played by Robert Downey Jr. He's coming back to the MCU playing a different character. And the theories have gone wild, of course.
Yes.
You know, is he a Tony Stark variant who himself becomes Doctor Doom? Or is he just, you know, same actor playing a different guy? I personally, here's my crazy theory. I think that it's a red herring. I think that Robert Downey Jr. is playing Iron Man, or, you know, he's playing Tony Stark in a different world, a different universe, the universe that is set within the Fantastic Four movies, because it's not on this Earth, it's in a different world, a different universe. I think he's just playing like a Tony Stark variant, and they don't want to announce who is actually Victor Von Doom. Because if you know Doom is a big villain. He's not just a scary guy who antagonizes the Fantastic Four. He only does that because he has an inferiority problem with Reed Richards. But, like, if he went to therapy and got over that one specific thing, the universe would be his. Like, when Doom wants something, Doom gets something. And he typically wins. He typically gets what he wants, you know, in some form or fashion. But the final Avengers movie that they've announced so far, so Avengers 6, that one is still Secret Wars, which makes a lot of sense for Doomsday to go into Secret Wars if you are privy to the Secret Wars comic book. The one from 2000 and... when was that? 15? Something like that. That doesn't seems like it was longer ago than that. Good lord.
Yeah.
But Doom is like a main character in that story, like almost more than anybody else. So the change from Kang to Doom is probably a good one.
Yeah. So we'll see that. And I mean, that's just like the Comic-Con news. I mean, we're going to see what else Marvel has up their sleeves.
Yeah. Listeners, we hope that you have enjoyed our ramblings about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
We went through, like, a good bit of the story, but we didn't touch on, like, the personal moments and the jokes. Oh my gosh. And we only briefly covered the soundtrack, like,
yeah,
just barely.
Mm-hmm.
There is plenty to go see. If you're a crazy person and still listen to this episode without seeing Deadpool and Wolverine, go watch it. What are you doing? Just go watch it.
Yes, go.
Go watch it and then listen
okay.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's okay. You can give them your money this one time. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Do it for the jokes. All of the jokes they make, like everything that comes out of Ryan Reynolds' mouth is like fourth wall breaking.
Mm-hmm.
And he says a lot, so you're going to have to pay attention.
But yeah, we hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Let us know what your favorite moments from this movie were. We would love to hear from you, have a conversation. Also, like we said, there's a lot going on in this movie. Maybe there's something like really obscure or unique that you guys caught in this movie that you want to share with us. We'd love to hear from you guys. You know, you can find us all over on social media at PodDemastered. Feel free to send us an email at demasteredpodcast@gmail.com. And, you know, make sure that you follow or subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes because, you know, we're always going to come back around to something Marvel or something else as well. Like, you know, like we've been really heavy in X-Men comics. We do still have quite a bit more to cover of that, but we have a couple different things planned for the next couple episodes. We're going to be talking about another movie that is not a Marvel movie, but it is an Academy Award winning movie.
Heck yeah, it is.
Yes. Freaking amazing. We'll just leave it at that. And plenty of other stuff coming your way, so be on the lookout for that. But thanks so much for listening to this episode, and we just hope you tune in to our next one.
See ya.